already put out at the beginning of the video that throughout this video, the lighting gets really bad because I was at the park, and as I was recording the video, it was getting darker and darker and darker, and I kept the video the same just because I felt like I couldn't do the content the same way. But I just wanted to warn you that towards the end of the video, it is going to get a little darker because, once again, I'm outside in the dark. And so I do apologize for that. Hopefully that will never happen again, but I just stayed at the park way too long. And so anyway, let's get into the video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another chill chat conversation and another review of Married at First Sight season 14 episode 11. That means that we only have a few more episodes. This episode, they had their 1 month anniversary, so that means that I think that we only have 4 or 5 episodes left. When I say this season is going by so fast, but it's like so much stuff is going on in it that it's just like, dang, I can't not believe that it's almost over already. But anyway, let's jump right in because, as we know, it was the 1 month anniversary and things got spicy up in this episode, but we also have some crazy stuff to happen in this episode as well. And like, we're gonna have some crazy stuff to happen in the episode next week, y'all. So if y'all ain't tuned into next week, y'all gonna be missing out on a whole lot because it's gonna be a whole lot going on. But as per usual, we're going to start with Mark and Lindsey. I have so many feelings about this couple just because I feel like it has become a trend that Mark is always the one taking the personal accountability. It just seems like in the past few episodes, he's been the one that's been coming, kind of like pouring out his heart, really being able to recognize some of his wrongs. And Lindsey is kind of just sitting there like, yeah, this is what I needed all this time. This is what I wanted. But I really do believe that some of his reaction was because of her. Now, this could just be from my side because I really do have a problem with people not taking accountability. But I just feel like at this point, Mark is going above and beyond. And I don't see where Lindsey is really meeting him to where it's actually fair. Now, I will go back to where Mark was talking to Chris. So Chris was on this episode, you guys. I'm so glad they brought him back some way, somehow, because I was so sad he had to go out for the show just because of how things ended with him and Alyssa. But I was so glad to see him back on the show, and I know that him and Mark was really cool. And in that last episode that Chris is actually in, it ended on the scene where Mark and Chris was talking because of all the stuff that Lindsey was saying in the bathroom, and Chris was kind of there to help calm him down, to help him kind of process the situation and things like that, and kind of just keep Mark level-headed. So from there, I can already tell that Mark and Chris was going to be really great friends, which I think is absolutely great because I think that Chris also needs that support system from those that he had met within the cast. So I think it was absolutely amazing that they brought Chris back on to be the person that Mark talked to. And one thing that Mark did say to Chris is that when they got home that night after the bowling, things were, of course, really weird. They didn't really have much conversation, much communication at all because they were really upset with each other. But the night after, they was able to sit down and have a conversation, and Mark said to Chris that Lindsey did say that she was sorry for the way that she may have made him feel during that whole episode, that whole little outburst that she had in the bathroom. And so I was really happy to hear that. And I've said once before that I do hope that these couples are able to have some of those conversations off camera because, of course, there's not enough time in the day for us to see everything that happens in their lives on camera. But it is something about them being able to sit down with each other with the cameras going and be able to have those type of conversations. So I was really happy to hear that, but still, like, on camera, I don't know, they're just making it seem like Lindsey is kind of like taking a back seat to all the drama that she's creating, and Mark is the one that's having to step up to the plate and take accountability for all this stuff that's going on. You know, if that's what Mark want to do, is fine, but I just worry that Mark is becoming kind of too passive because Lindsey is such a aggressive personality. I just don't want him to take too much of a back seat and take too much on his shoulder and let her get away with stuff that she actually needs to own in the marriage, because if they're going to have a successful and long-lasting marriage, it's going to come to a point where Mark is not going to be able to just take all that, put all that on his shoulders, and they're going to crack. And unfortunately, they're not going to make it. And so if they learn to practice that now, then I feel like they'll be better off. And that's going to start with Lindsey being able to take some accountability for the things that she is creating in this marriage. But anyway, as we can see from the last episode, Mark had took her out to the fancy restaurant where she had sushi, which is one of her favorite things to eat. And so that was really cool. So we really seen him try there, really pay more attention to her. He told her sorry for if he made her feel that she wasn't special to him, or that he didn't like her, or that she wasn't attractive, or all those things that Lindsey kind of stated that she felt like she wasn't getting. He apologized for not giving them to her. And then we see in this episode where he sets up their anniversary kind of cabin stay, and she was very excited about that. She felt like he really heard her and really took her personality into consideration. And I think it was good for both her and Mark to be able to get out away from the house, go somewhere that's mutual grounds, for them both to be able to have a nice, calm, relaxing evening. And as we saw, they really did. Their little outing ended with them watching a little clip of them getting married again, and they was able to really talk about and process the day of their wedding, the things that they were feeling, laugh about some things, things like that. And so I thought that was really great. And then once again, Mark actually broke down and was apologizing to Lindsey again, which I feel like if he feels he needs to apologize, kudos to him. I'm glad he's able to take that personal accountability. But I felt a little strange watching the fact that Lindsey was just sitting there like, yeah, that's what I need to hear. And it was kind of like there was nothing afterwards. Like after all that stuff he said, if she could have just met him there for a percentage of like, like, babe, I can see where you're coming from. I appreciate your apology, and I also need to apologize as well. I need to be woman enough to be able to say, I had a part in this too. I think that just would have been icing on the cake. That's just my personal opinion. But I do feel like if he continues to take all of that and put it on his shoulders, like, they're going to crack, because now Lindsey is mad at Mark for wanting to get a job. Most of the time, women are mad because their man won't get a job. But because he wants to get a job, now she's mad. And she's like, well, really, your only responsibility is getting to know me. That is not my only responsibility. Do you know how much stuff I got going on? And she kind of made it, I didn't like the way how she made it seem like, well, it's all about what you got going on. It's not nothing about me. Okay. If we go back to when they was on their honeymoon and Mark was getting calls from his landlord, she said, whatever you're going through is what I'm going through, because I am not your wife. And it's like she's saying that everything you're going through is because of you and what you're going through, and I have no part in it. Well, what happened to whatever you go through is what I go through because I'm your wife. I feel like she's nitpicking. And so she is a person who she needs a reassurance, and she needs a lot of attention, which is fine. But I feel like Mark needs that too, in a different kind of way, and she's not able to give him that either. I think he's starting to take on the perspective, I'm going to focus more on the positive things that I can pick out of the situation instead of focusing on the negative, which I think is very mature of Mark to do. And I think that it would do justice for Lindsey to do the same thing. But right now, I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing Mark taking on the bulk of everything, and Lindsey is not really taking responsibility for anything. And that to me is just, I don't know. It's just not okay. And I just wish that it was different, but it's their life, it's their marriage, and if it's working for them, fine. But just, I don't know. I just feel like it would be more balanced if she was able to meet him, in that conversation as well. Take a little bit of personal accountability, because right now he's doing it all. The only other thing that I can think of to say about Lindsey is when all the couples had met for dinner, she was defending Katina, which was different. She was defending Katina because Olajuwon tried to call Katina out, and no one agreed with that was okay. If he wasn't going to talk about the situation, he shouldn't have brought it up. And Lindsey, she actually put her neck out and defended Katina, and I thought that was actually pretty cool. I didn't like the fact that she kept calling her the B word. That's just my personal opinion. I don't like when other females call females the B word. I don't even like when males call females or males call males. I just don't like the B word, period. That's a trick word for me. And I don't think that's like, and I know now in society it's kind of like, oh, I call her because that's my friend, but I just think that's like a negative trying to be turned into a positive. Like, don't call me a B, don't call me the N word. I don't care if we friends, I don't care if you sing the song. Like, the N word shouldn't be coming out your mouth, the B word shouldn't be coming out your mouth. And I don't know, I mean, people can disagree, that's fine, but I just don't like the way that she kept calling her a B. Like, don't call her out her name like that. Whether you defended her or not, like, she's not that, so don't call her that. But I do think it was cool that she stuck her neck out and she was like, yo, Olajuwon, look, you wrong. You wrong. And coming from the perspective that now we know that they actually are really cool, Olajuwon and Lindsey, they be having their rooftop meetings and chit-chatting and stuff like that. So the fact that she was able to be like, yo, we alike, you wrong, I think that was pretty cool. But take that same energy to your marriage. If you're going to say that Olajuwon is wrong and you're going to call him out, be woman enough to say that you're wrong in your marriage. Like, don't be trying to call Olajuwon out in his marriage and you can't even get on camera and admit your faults in your own marriage. Like, what? Like, don't do that. Like, don't do that. That was the only thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with that. But it was really cool to see her take up for Katina, because I think we all can agree that the way that Olajuwon handled that situation was not cool. And of course, Lindsey was the one to open her mouth and be like, yo, you ain't cool. This ain't cool. This ain't gonna go down like that. So I thought that was really cool. So the next couple, we're gonna go straight into Katina and Olajuwon, because this episode right here got kind of crazy. As we all know, this episode got kind of crazy. Olajuwon felt that it was okay to talk to Katina the way he was talking to her. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. You are not going to sit there and talk to this girl like that. I don't care what you have to say, what you feel like you need to do. The way he was talking to her was, in my opinion, completely inappropriate. You don't talk to a woman like that. And the thing that really upset me about the end scene with them is that he was so combative and he was so aggressive, and he had one side of the story that he counted as facts, and he didn't even give her the opportunity to explain herself at all. I think that deserves a conversation. He didn't even give any grounds for them to have a conversation. And I think that's one of those situations where you have to be able to sit down and talk about that kind of stuff. Like, you can't just assume. We tend to think the worst, and we take the worst as our truth. And sometimes that's just not what it is. There's all kind of reasons why people do the things that they do, why people have the things that they have on their phone. Also, too, it was a debatable topic because, okay, yeah, they are two strangers trying to come together to trust each other. They don't know each other. They just trying to have faith that, like, what they're getting is the real them. So I can see why he would have questioned that for sure. But not allowing her the opportunity to explain herself just because you already formed your opinion was not right. And he kept cutting her off. This dude is always and forever cutting her off. Every time she goes to talk about something, he always like overshadow her and cuts her off, and it's just so rude and it's so aggravating. And to me, that is a red flag. And on the after party, the host, she was asking Miss Kev on stage, do you see Olajuwon's behavior as red flags? And she said, absolutely, I'm starting to see him as red flags because he's just so aggressive, and he's like belittling, and he just gets so wrapped up in his emotions that he just gets so fired up. And we all know that Katina is very soft-spoken. She kind of let out her a little aggression simply because she was getting frustrated because he wouldn't let her talk. And I think I think she handled herself very well. She's been handling herself very well. I do think that some of that is out of fear, which I stated before. I think that she is fearful, like she reflects back on her past relationships and how she experienced certain things in her relationship, and she really feels like her and Olajuwon could really make it as a married couple. And I can tell she really likes Olajuwon. I can tell that Olajuwon really likes her, which I think that's why he act the way he act, because he really does like her and he is falling for her, and he just don't want to be in a situation to where it's like, this is not real, which I get. But you can lose her just by talking to her the way you're talking to her, having all these expectations. And I don't know, I think that's the whole situation deserved a conversation, absolutely. But I was strolling through YouTube earlier and I ran across the thing, and I don't watch a lot of reviews, or when people be talking about I'm spilling the tea on Married at First Sight, I don't usually watch it. But I came across this one, and for some reason I clicked on it, and I'm going to post a picture as well. But in that scene, if you remember, on the bus, Olajuwon was holding a white phone. When they got back to, even at the dinner table, Olajuwon was holding a white phone. When they got back to the apartment, he had grabbed his phone and it was a white phone. When he asked her, let me see your phone, she picks up a black phone. So they edited that from the assumption is that they edited that spark of drama for the sake of the show. Because if you go back and watch it, he was looking at a white phone the whole time. She has a black phone. He never even looked at her phone. They staged that whole thing. And that's the first time I ever looked at something like that. But when I saw the pictures and the images of it, I was like, yo, that is so messed up. Like, sometimes we really do have to take into consideration that the producers are editing this, and it is a show for entertainment purposes, and that some of that stuff was purely for entertainment. I'm going to post a picture so y'all going to see exactly what I'm talking about. But I thought that was so messed up. If that's true, that is so messed up. Like, that is so messed up, because it's really painting a bad picture of Olajuwon, to be honest. And depending on perspective, it's actually painting a bad image of Katina as well, because yes, she's handling the situation well, but like I said, she's starting to come across to be very passive, and almost like she's accepting of verbal and emotional abuse at this point. And that's my thing. Like, I feel like she's literally heading to the realm, because she's trusting in this relationship and she really likes Olajuwon, that she is allowing herself to go through this verbal abuse and emotional abuse when she don't deserve that. But also too, another perspective would be is the fact that, you know, she is maybe really meant for Olajuwon, because she is like one of the only ones that can really handle his personality and really be able to talk to him and hold her peace with him. And that's something all in itself. Like, I do believe that there are soulmates. You know, I'm not saying that they are soulmates, but I believe in the world, you know, God created soulmates. You know, you can be a soulmate to somebody. And when you are a soulmate to somebody, like, your personalities merge in a way to where it's kind of like almost unreal how the two personalities fit together. And it's like positive and negative. Like, they complement each other in so many different ways, positive and negatives. And I feel like, just throwing it out there, that if they were soulmates, this is how this would fit, because Olajuwon needs to be with a person that's calm in their demeanor, because he does have that high energy and aggressiveness. And Katina, because she is so soft-spoken, she does need a man who is more vocal. So when you look at it from that point of view, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of how the experts looked at it when they matched them two, is how they will complement each other in those ways. I can see that. But it should not be to the place where anybody is taking verbal abuse or they're taking emotional abuse. And I just do not want Katina to be in another situation to where she's in a relationship where she's got to deal with emotional abuse. Like, that's not cool. Like, that is not cool. And so I really hope they get it together. But 1 month anniversary was so cute. The way she set up the boat ride and things like that, like, he was flabbergasted. You can tell. Like, he was so appreciative, and he was so amazed that she would even do that. He did say, he like, I'm really feeling you. Like, I'm really starting to feel you. And like I said, that right there, I feel like he's reacting off of that because he's scared. I told y'all time and time again, he's trying to prove to himself that he's not a playboy. He's trying to prove to himself that he's a real man and that he wants to be married and that he has a wife and stuff like that. We know. But I feel like his reaction is because of the whole phone. Even if that scenario was true, if he had an app on his phone, the only thing he's going to think back to is his Playboy days, about how he may have had an app on his phone and what he was doing. But everybody don't use apps for the same way. Everybody ain't swiping left and right all the time. Like I said, it just should have been a conversation. But I really do think that he's reacting off of the fact that he really does like her, and that he really wants to know if this stuff is real. I'm sorry, guys, it's starting to get dark because I am at the park, and I really need to be getting my butt home, but it's like getting dark out here. But yeah, I think that their little 1 month anniversary celebration was so cute, and he was really just saying, like, I'm feeling her, I'm really feeling you, like, I'm really digging you, like, I liked you before, but now I'm really digging you. And that was just so sweet. She was smiling all hard and everything like that, and it was just so cute the way, you know, just how they was talking to each other. And then they had that big old blow up, like, oh, I was like, why would you end the anniversary like that? But anyway, the next couple is Jasmine and Michael. Jasmine and Michael, they look like they really liked each other in this episode, y'all. Like, they have so much potential. It makes me so upset because this couple has so much potential. Another review that I watched on Married at First Sight, even they were talking about how they can see that they have so much potential. And in this episode, we can see they have so much potential. I absolutely love the way that Michael recreated their wedding day, because that was literally the highlight for them. This season, the highlight of their marriage was literally their wedding day. And Michael recreated their wedding day, guys. Like, it was so amazing. Just the spark that they was feeling again. They were having emotions from the wedding. Like, it was just so beautiful. Like, they were laughing and smiling. They didn't get mixed up in communication. Like, everything was like perfect. Like, it was just so amazing. Now, one thing that came out in after party is that when they got home, apparently Jasmine was so mad at Olajuwon, and Olajuwon had actually talked to Michael about what had happened before they sat at the table. So Michael already knew what was going on. And Jasmine was telling us how Michael had to calm her down because she was so mad that Olajuwon would try to call her friend out like that. But the fact that they were even talking about something other than just something general, like, how was your day? Like, that's growth. Like, I just feel like this episode was growth goals for them. And if they can maintain that throughout the rest of these 4 weeks, you know, I feel like they could potentially say yes on decision day. I want them to be able to say yes because, like I said, I know there's potential there. They have the potential. If they want it, they have the potential. So that's pretty much all I have for them, because like I said, this was just a highlight for them. Like, this episode was highlight for them. Like, oh my gosh, this is like the best episode that we've seen from them. And they plan to do another reset, you know, leave the past in the past and really focus on the things they learned of each other so far. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And so I feel like if they do that, they'll be fine. They'll be fine if they continue to do those things. And the last couple is Nol and Steve. Nol and Steve, once again, another beautiful couple. Their 1 month anniversary was absolutely beautiful. They were also on a boat and sushi, and Nol was like, oh my gosh, I love my life. And I can definitely see they have a general love for each other, and it is so beautiful. But unfortunately, like I said in the last review, what's going to break this couple up is their inability to compromise. And we all know that Steve does not want to get a job, and Nol is like, you're going to get a job if you're going to be with me. And so unfortunately, their lack of being able to compromise is going to break them up. And I feel devastated about that, because I really feel like they're a great couple. They started off great. They communicate great, or they learned to communicate great. Nol is actually having more conversations instead of shutting down. So, you know, like, they're communicating great, you know, and I hope that continues. But unfortunately, they have to get over this hump of the whole job thing. And that's just what it is. Even if Steve was to get a job just for a little bit, just so she'll know that he has the ability to work and bring home money until he can get his business established, because that's what he's waiting on. He said that from episode 1, that he has his own goals for establishing a business, and he just ain't got it started yet. So even if he got a job to when he got the business started, I feel like that would give her a little bit more comfortability, and I think that she would be a little bit more comfortable. But she also had to be compromising, even if that's not the way he would go. But unfortunately, she's not willing to compromise on that, and that's okay. She knows what she wants, And if that's what she wants, that's what she wants. But I just think that's going to be a major turning point for them. They're super happy with each other, and they even mentioned kids at the table when everybody was talking. They mentioned kids at the table, and I think it was Jasmine who was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to be an auntie," you know. So I don't know. I hope they won't let this job situation tear them apart. But unfortunately, it looks like, and then it sounds like Steve been trying to have a conversation with her about finances, about the job, and she's been too busy to have that conversation. So I don't know how this is going to go, guys. I don't have no idea how this conversation is going to go, but I don't know how this couple is going to go because their inability to compromise. But that's pretty much all that I had for this episode. Until next time, you guys, make sure you're tuned in next week because it's going to be a crazy review. I can already tell by the previews, unless they just psyching us out. But until next time, you guys, bye.